Hello everyone, welcome back to another project update. I had a fairly busy month here down on the layout, building the layout, working on some new locomotives, working on some friends equipment, and a few new acquisitions as well. So we'll just dive right into it. Like I said, I've been busy on the layout, so there should be a new layout update coming in the next few days, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But I've still been busy with various different projects as well, and I think today we're also going to give you a updated look at the locomotive roster because it's changed a lot since my last roster update, which was part of the January project update, the year-end project update. So yeah, with that we'll get right into it with new acquisitions here. So this locomotive was on last month's as a new acquisition, so I guess technically it's really a finished project more than anything else. This is the Intermountain Gevo that I got for last month's project update. It now has Tsunami 2 sound, which I'm very happy with. Love the way it sounds. I'm honestly more impressed with the horn on this one than I was with the one that's for the Gevo on the Lock Sound decoder. So that's why I ended up going with Tsunami 2 for this particular locomotive, and I'm very happy that I did, just because of the way it sounds. Most people like the Lock Sound for GE products, but I really liked the way the Tsunami 1 sounded for this particular locomotive, so went with that. So that's the first finished project, I guess you could say. And the next locomotive is a new acquisition and a finished project. And first off, in talking about this locomotive, I literally just posted a couple weeks ago a video of me weathering this particular locomotive, and it's my most successful video ever now by a long shot. And I'm really excited to have had such success with that video, and to those watching this that watch that, I would really like to say thanks because it turned out well, for sure. But anyway, with enough talking about it, this is the Scale Trains SD40-2. You guys saw me weather it in that Grime Time video, which is a new series that I'm going to start doing, I think, on occasion. I won't have like a set schedule for it. But the weathering turned out well, very, very prototypical compared to what the real thing looks like. Really, the prototype really isn't in that bad a shape. It's got a little bit of dirt and grime right along the sill, just like I put on here. And other than that, it's just faded down a little bit. So all in all, I know some people have been complaining about the sanding lines on the Scale Trains SD40-2s. To me, that's not that big of a deal. It's, to me, I like it. I'm not going to complain about a standing line issue. That's literally the easiest issue you could ever fix in the world. I mean, all you have to do is take a light and shine it on it to warm up the standing line and bend it back. It takes like 2 seconds. I don't know why anybody's whining about it, to be honest. But I really like that model. I'm really hoping that, well, actually, I'll show you. This particular model from Scale Trains, this one came out with the chicken wire radiator grills, and you can't really see it. There we go. It has the chicken wire radiator grills, which is the earlier generation locomotives had those. The particular Admiral cab that I saw constantly when I was down at school, number 3311, that my friends actually jokingly called the Spirit of Paul Stamp because I posted about it so much. That one has the later generation kind of more traditional radiator grills, so I'm really hoping that Scale Trains does another run so I can get one with those radiator grills and renumber it for 3311. I think it'd be really cool to have that locomotive on the layout kind of as a reminder of my time while I was down at school, all the rail fanning I did down there. So that's the second finished project slash new acquisition. Like I said, really happy with that locomotive. Sounds great and everything. The next one is a new acquisition, but it's still a work in progress. The decoder that I was installing in it fried on me, so I got to get a new one still from Soundtrax. But this is the chassis of it. This is a Norfolk Southern SD75M. So it's in a state of mid what would you say, mid project, I guess. It's getting all new LEDs, Econami sound. Nobody actually makes the specific sound file for these SD75Ms. The one that Tsunami has, or Soundtrax has, is for the 70M, not for the 75. And Lock Sound only makes the 70M-2 variation. They don't make the 75M. So I was a little disappointed that I couldn't get the exact sound for this locomotive, but I went with an Econami decoder just to save a couple bucks, because that has a great SD70M sound file. It's the same one that's on basically any other SD70M that Tsunami made. So I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, that's the end of the new acquisitions and works in progress. The one big project that I did finish this month was a project I was working on for my buddy Alex. His YouTube channel is Red Raider Railfan Productions. If you want to go check his channel out. But he sent me one 2-bay hopper, Walther's 2-bay, and 3 of the old run BLMA Top Gun NS Cole hoppers to get weathered up for him. I got all that done. I don't have them here anymore. I sent them back, but I do have pictures that I'll throw up over top of the video and everything here right about now.
Just you make sure you're keeping your loving pure, 'cause for you know some cracks may show, and I have to let you go, and I have to let you go, full up to overflow.
Yeah, I mean, they turned out pretty good, as you can clearly see. I was really happy with the way they turned out, and he's happy as well. So I mean, we'll see. The Grime Time series, you know, I kind of want to keep it to like new arrivals, weathering new arrivals, because I feel like those are going to be the most successful videos, is when I'm weathering stuff that nobody else has yet. So we'll see what else gets into the Grime Time series, but I'd like to do a coal hopper, a boxcar, you know, basically just every different type of rolling stock in that series throughout the life of the series. As for what the next installment in that will be, I don't know yet. We'll have to see. I'm kind of trying to keep it as basic as I can with that series, just so that, you know, people who are new to weathering and just trying to get into it for the first time can see these videos and understand that weathering isn't really as hard as everybody thinks it is. You just have to have a lot of patience. But anyway, enough of me rambling on about that. We'll get into the roster update portion of the video coming up right now. Alright guys, so we'll get started with the roster update portion of this video. As you can kind of see, the roster itself has been filled out a lot more than it used to be for that January project update. There's a lot more going on here. A couple more engines that have left the layout, sadly, and a few new faces as well. So we'll get right into it, starting at the end here. I'm not gonna talk about this too much, because I literally just talked about it a few minutes ago in this video. But that's the Intermountain Gevo that I got. Traded that from I got that from a friend whom I traded a the SD80 Mac for 7216 that I used to have. Traded that to him, plus a CN SD70i that I built, an Athearn old generation Genesis locomotive, one of the kit ones that still had to be put together. Put that together, traded that to him along with the 80 Mac for a little bit of cash and that Gevo down there at the end. Next locomotive up, the big difference with this locomotive from the last time you saw it is the fact that it's now weathered. Just did a light weathering, kind of faded down the paint a little bit of grime on the wheels, grime in the radiator, fan grills. That's really the only big difference with this locomotive. Still has the same factory sound, still same factory lighting, which honestly, I'm gonna jinx myself, but I've not had a blown bulb in that at all, surprisingly, which I'm pretty happy with. So that's a great looking locomotive now for sure. And then the next one up is a new acquisition, although it is a familiar face to the layout. I had the Bachmann version of this, the Sound Value version of this, but sold that and then picked this one up. Heck of a deal. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but ended up being a really great deal for that Genesis version with Tsunami. Pre-installed. Very happy with this locomotive. You saw it in my previous project update as a new acquisition, and then the most recent video on my channel, the operating session we just had at Tim Anderson's layout. So like I said, really happy with that. Really surprised, honestly, that the LEDs the incandescent bulbs haven't blown in that yet, but they're still working just fine, so we'll keep running them with it. Next locomotive up, this is a locomotive that's been on the layout excuse me, for quite some time. This is the Dash 9 9746. It's the Frankenstein unit. Big difference in this locomotive from what used to be in it. It did get upgraded with scale head KDs, and I also repaired the ditch lights so that those are, oops, you guys can't even see the ditch lights. I repaired the ditch lights so that they are functioning now and flashing. So that's great. Next locomotive up, I can't remember. Yeah, I did have this for the last project update. This is the SD70M non-flared, Tsunami 2 sound, and not much has changed with this locomotive. If anything, I don't think, since the previous project update, so we won't spend too much time on that. Next locomotive, I literally just talked about. This is the Scale Trains SD40-2, 3234 is the number, lock sound equipped, did the weathering on it. Probably the best interpretation of a P5 horn I have ever heard in a model. I absolutely love that horn, and I hope that Lock Sound makes that specific horn available on all of their stock decoders. We'll see if that happens. I think this was a proprietary sound file that they did for Scale Trains. I'm not sure if it'll be available on the Lock Sound website or not for download onto the 4.0 or the select decoders, but if it is, I would love to have all of my future SD40-2s locks or Scale Trains are not equipped with that sound file because it's magnificent. And I'm hoping that the Tier 4 Scale Trains is coming out with also has a custom sound file, which it sounds like it does from all the videos on Scale Train's Facebook page. We'll see though. And the next one is this is a Jeep that has been on the layout since January. However, this stuff that I said I was going to do to this thing in the January project update, most of it didn't end up happening. I said I was planning on putting Tsunami 2 sound in here and, you know, doing all sorts of LED upgrades and all this other stuff. It did get LED headlights and rear headlights, but it didn't end up getting, it's just got dummy ditch lights. Didn't end up doing any of the pilot detail. Put a plow on there, which is nice. Still need to get scale head KDs for this, and then I also weathered it, put the air conditioner on top, and that was really about it. I didn't spend a lot of time on this locomotive because my plan is to have this in the switching consist. This is just going to be the locomotive sandwiched in the middle of my two nicer locomotives, the next one of which you'll see here right now. This is another locomotive that's been discussed on the project updates a lot. This is the Genesis GP40-2 that I still have not finished completely. Still needs to have a P3 air horn put back there, needs the roof details, and then I also need to replace a few of the MU hoses and various other things. It does have all LED lighting and everything now, so that's a pretty good looking locomotive that once it's done and a few other changes are made, these three will make a very nice switching set for my my layout. That's a pretty standard set of switchers for the Southern Tier Line. H52, which is the local that runs from Buffalo to Silver Springs, uses very similar concepts to that, it seems, all the time. So it'll be great to use those as switchers. And then the final locomotive you'll see over here is that SD75M we talked about earlier. Not a lot to say about that. Just can't wait to get it running. Got to contact Tsunami still about getting that board replaced. They want me to call them, and it's kind of tough to find time to call them because I'm usually working while they're open. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's about it for this project update, guys. I hope you enjoyed the look at the updated roster, and like I said, make sure to stay tuned for the layout update that'll be coming shortly. If you're new to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe so that you can continue to watch this content. Certainly appreciate every single one of you that are viewing these videos and hopefully enjoying them. And thanks, guys. Have a good one.